Our Give to Gain conversation today is about just hoping that everybody leaves the room after our conversation feeling just that little bit more capable. And sharing our superpower is a really great way of doing that. That theme of conversation was inspired by the lovely Marta, who I only met just recently. Wow, this lady has such a can-do energy. It's incredible. I think already she's inspired me to realize that leadership isn't something that we wait for. It's something that we act, and it's a step that we take every day. Marta's story, which we'll talk to in a minute, is one of not perfection, but definitely one of stepping forward and taking those brave decisions. Marta started right on the shop floor, in operations right at the beginning, in a kitchen, as a single mum, and we've already talked about how difficult it is to juggle family and work, let alone a single mum. And obviously Marta's progressed through to COO and non-exec member, and just an amazing, super talent of a lady, and somebody that I think doesn't actually realize what she brings when she comes into a room. So Marta, let's start from the beginning. Was leadership always your vision and journey?
Yeah, thank you. Before I answer the question, I wanted to acknowledge that I'm not the only one. I really appreciate all the grand introductions, but I think all of us, and just the noise of the room when you spoke about your own superpowers, we all got that. We all have a career, we all have a story, we all came through all different paths and walks of life, and it's amazing that so many of us yet still come together and want to talk to each other and exchange that. Like Claire and Jessica, how awesome that was, and every single conversation today is so powerful and so inspiring. And when Christian told me who am I going to talk to, and he introduced me to Emma, I was wondering, why am I being interviewed by Emma? This woman was on the board by the time she was 30. She worked and grew some of the biggest brands in UK, and you definitely should talk to Emma when you have a minute later today during coffee, because we have to make sure that this conversation goes the other way around next year. Emma has so much to offer, so much experience, and she's also a mom of 3 beautiful kids, 10, 13, and 16, and you know that the career and kids and the family comes beautifully together at the best of it. So,
I'm going to answer the question yet?
Thank you. I will, but we're here to empower each other. So, when it started, I always thought that I'm going to be in leadership. To be honest with you, at school I was a little bit like that as well. I was president of the class and all those things, and I liked that. I liked the leadership thing and bringing people together with friends group and all that. And I always had the vision that I'm going to lead the business. I tried my own thing. I had a business organizing events back in Poland. But my way of walking into this direction was to study strategy. I did masters in strategy and economy back in Poland, and I thought that it will take me closer to my goal of one day leading a big business. So it was somewhere there. As a child, I wanted to be a florist or mathematician, teach maths. I'm obsessed with numbers and I loved maths, so that was my childhood dream. But when I had some better awareness of business, I did want to be a leader.
Amazing. And you come across as such a confident, accomplished lady, but I'm sure like all of us, you've had imposter syndrome as well. So talk us through maybe some unexpected insecurities or doubts you might have had along the way.
Yeah, you see, the way I look at imposter syndrome, I understand the conversation around it, and I understand why we talk about it, because sometimes we walk into rooms where we don't feel relevant yet. But it's not. It's a feeling. I'm sure you can all imagine that first you had a job, that you were in a certain room, then you went to a bigger room, or then you met people who you were working or reporting to, and now you were sitting on the same table, and it goes on. And sometimes you move sideways, and sometimes you move up into different rooms. But it's just like a feeling of relevance. And I think the way to think about imposter syndrome is exactly how to make ourselves feel more relevant in the rooms, how to learn, how to get mentorship, how to find out more in context of the situation we're finding ourselves in. And I obviously had those situations back in through my career to this day. The bigger room you walk into, the more it feels sometimes like this. But this relevance disappears very quickly when you realize that all of us are same human. We have families, we have careers, we have problems that we deal with in our daily life. We have challenges at work, and when you normalize it, this feeling for yourself, I think it automatically helps you like bring yourself into it. And when we bring our best self into the conversation, I think that helps with the imposter syndrome or feeling of relevance or not being relevant yet. In the past, I felt, there were two specific things maybe that I mentioned. One, when I was especially working in my first role in operations, I was maybe labeled as a strong single Polish mother. You can imagine the box. Yeah. And in that, coming out of this box and in a foreign country with a language that sounds like it does, I thought that I have to I was trying to figure out what do I need to do to show that actually I have so much more to offer than, strong single Polish mother. Of course, that's cool and it's credit in itself, and I appreciated it for myself that I can do it. But I really felt that was a big thing for me. So I tried to overcome this. I read books. I'm a librarian. I have a book for every single thing that you can think of. And I tried to work on my English. I tried to public speaking. I thought I'm going to just do something about it. And if I'm not going to go on that stage, how am I going to learn? And I tried to face it rather than being fearful. But I was very aware of that at early career stages. That was the kind of box. And my Polish, I have to say that my English I never felt was good enough, and I tried to turn it into a strength of mine because I kept it simple. So whilst it was something that made me feel less relevant, sometimes in the big rooms full of really experienced and well-educated people, I felt that if I speak actually in a simple way, I'm probably better understood and don't try to be or are much more complicated in their expressions. So I've tried to conquer it like that.
Amazing. And as I've got to know you a little bit, I think there's so many things that make you a different and distinctive leader. What would you say to the audience that has really helped you stand out and achieve what you have?
I always take accountability. I'm trying to avoid leaving my destiny in other people's hands. So I would never wait or think that my career or my life depends on some other people or other forces, or I don't look at career or life like this. I want to be in control. Maybe in control. That's not expresses what I want to say. I want to be owning my own journey, and I really always try to take ownership for the next steps that I want to take, and think about future and walk in with lots of courage in the direction of that goal. Sometimes I would express it, sometimes not. Sometimes I only knew where I'm going and kind of went for it because it was. I wanted to have some ambitious goals, but I think this courage to own it really helped me through my career.
Yeah, I think courage is really what you really show very strongly, but also I think resilience. We've talked a lot today about confidence being a really important part of leadership, but tell us about your resilience and how that's shown up and in what ways.
Thank you for sharing your story with me. It's absolutely wonderful, and you have so much resilience as all the women in this room. And since everybody shared a little bit of personal lives, I think there were two personal moments that really shaped and gave me, fixed my resilience in me, I think. One is my parents passed away very early. My father when I was 7. I lost my mom, who I was really looking up to when I was 21, and that was big because it was me and my sister kind of on a mission, and big extended family. So it's life. But I think this really taught me that I have to own it, and I'm going to be resilient, and I'm going to figure life out. And the second time when Matthew was 3 years old, we split up with his dad, and I became single mom, and I wanted career. I wanted to travel the world. I'm an obsessed traveler. 111 countries and counting, and I didn't want to give up anything. I didn't want to give up career, I didn't want to give up travel, and I wanted to be the best mom I could. And this moment was really defining how to go about it. It turned out to be a little bit simpler because it was my decision only at the end. I didn't have to consult. But it was something that really taught me a lot of resilience. And on professional side of things, I made lots of mistakes in my career, like many bad decisions and all this. But I tried to look at them like, I don't know yet. You know, it's like the same with relevance or relatedness in meetings or in situations. With mistakes, I also always thought about it that I didn't know yet. If we truly can tell ourselves that we're trying to do the right thing, and the mission is to do the right thing, not to work against something, but to work for something, and we make those mistakes and face them quickly, we can learn so much from them because they tell us something new, something we otherwise wouldn't experience, wouldn't know, we wouldn't cross this boundary, we wouldn't cross this threshold. So I actually enjoyed some of the mistakes that I've made, and some of them I cringe to this day. But it is what it is, you know. And if you own it, you own it. Nobody owns it for you, and you can openly talk about them. But there's so many.
And talk a little bit, I know when we spoke, what's really struck me about you is your people leadership. It's been such a big part of Marta's journey and continues to be in terms of mentoring. How have you really grown and developed people, and what's the best advice you would give to those starting out on that journey?
I really enjoy that part, and it's part of, I think, every leader's growth and journey and successes. That if you have a strong team around you, and it doesn't actually matter if they report to you or not. Like, team is a big organism. You work sometimes at arm's length with people in different teams, but it's still your team. You kind of create your own tribe. And if you support one another, you go much further than if you're trying to be the best of the smartest of. And I'm neither of those. I know that I have two skills, strategy and leadership. I don't know how Michelle is here, who we worked together for a long time. I don't know much about properties. But in the crunch time, I did run a property department for a little bit. But she was the smart one in the room, for example, not me. And it's like with the people that we work with, it's important that we recognize their strengths and we know where our place is. And mentoring and coaching and working with people is, I think, about really understanding, and understanding is about listening. And it's the life is quick, business is really fast, and it's very easy to make assumptions and think about things in shortcuts or from our own lens and perspective. So learning how to listen quickly but very effectively and understand and connect the dots and the landscape is really incredibly important, I find, both in mentoring and mentoring, coaching and leadership. Without it, it's very difficult to really be present truly with people and work with them on whatever that is.
I think actually true listening is a really underrated skill. I mean, how many times have we been in a board meeting or a meeting where we know the person just waiting to get in with the next thing that they're thinking about and not actually actively listening or building and contributing onto each other's ideas. So it's such a silent power, but I think such a superpower as well to be a great listener. Coming on to that, tell us more about what your beliefs are and your mantras. I think you lead with very clear values and beliefs, and it would be lovely to share with the audience.
Oh yeah, it's a little romantic, so forgive me. I worked on it for quite some time. It took me a few years to get to what my values actually are. You know how we always say that we want to join teams and businesses that we share values of and all that. And many years ago, it prompted me to think, actually, okay, I feel like the values work for me and they are relevant, and obviously this is a feeling. It's not something, it's subconscious knowledge, but most of it is a feeling. So I started experimenting with what would I call my own values, and I came to them years ago now. It's love, growth and integrity. And I really want to, love means that I really want to love what I do, and I love life, and I want to do things with kindness and in the best way. I don't want to work against anything. I'm not going on any wars. I'm not trying to, put anybody down. I only want to make sure that people are happier, and I want to be this force for that. Growth is about moving forward, learning, and really trying to see the world. Curiosity is so connected to it for me. And integrity, just trying to do the right thing and doing it well. And when I mess up, facing as soon as I realize that I've messed up and moving forward with it. And those values kind of help me validate and navigate my life, business decisions, life decisions. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm true to my own values before anything else. And I think that It's connected to trying to be a good person, you know. Mantras, I have 2 good mantras if you like good quotes. My first quote, forever, ever, ever, for 20 years or something, it was, it doesn't matter what others do wrong, only matters what I can do right. That plays to my accountability and really utter feel of like extreme ownership. And the second one is, when you change the way you look at things, things you look at change. Guaranteed. When we're stuck, this is probably the first resort. Think about it. What else, what other people would think, how other people could see it, and then take ownership for it. And that pretty much gets you out of any stuck situation that you can think of.
I have a mantra that I'm going to share as well. So treat people how you want to be treated. Such a simple mantra, but so true. In any situation, if you do that, you can't go wrong. And I think about 4 months ago, my 13-year-old son came out with it at the breakfast table. And I was like, yeah, I'm done as a mum. He's got the mantra.
That's so perfect, yeah.
So I think we all have to find our own, you know, our own whys and our own mantras of how we want to lead. But I think what Marta has shown hugely is authentic leadership where you just want to do the right thing, have purpose, have impact, is so powerful. I just have one small question from me that I hope resonates with the audience as well as we close, which is for those women who maybe feel like they're playing smaller than they should right now. What would your advice be?
Have courage to go big. Like, just why would you play small? If you know that you want more, go for more. Like, set yourself ambitious goal and walk in the direction of that goal. Sometimes it will feel like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm getting closer. But if you consciously kind of think of your actions and decisions you make to take you closer to that goal or walk in the direction of that goal, you will get there. But think big and be courageous and have fun. Life is awesome when you have lots of courage. So do it and find your tribe that will challenge you and tell you, okay, what are you going to do about it? Rather than say, oh, yeah, poor you. Don't hang, like, that's not the people that you want around. You want the people who tell you, you can do more, of course, how are you going to do it? What's your next move? And properly debate. For Women's Day, I had my besties for lunch on Saturday. I cooked the dinner and we put on the table like 3 of our biggest challenges. And it wasn't a conversation, oh yeah, you know, I'm so sorry that happens to you. No, it was like, okay, what are you going to do? This, that, and the other. And we were all, the 4 of us, challenging each other. You know, it's the best feeling when you know that you can so trustfully talk to people who will inject even more courage into you and tell you like, yeah, you can do anything, really. Like, why not? What's the worst that can happen? So enjoy the courage.
Never-ending can-do attitude.
Thank you.